Hello, friends. Welcome to another brand episode of the Third Men Cricket Podcast. This is episode 14 to be precise. We have Pavandeep and Ravi over here to take you over this engrossing episode and discussion where we are looking ahead to the T20 series that's going to be played between England and India. We had a very interesting test series, although the scoreline was 3-1 in India's favor, but it was a lot closer than that. And we had test matches finishing within 2 or 3 days, but it all warranted for engrossing cricket between both the sides. And now the tracks change, and the two teams would be looking forward to playing with each other in the white ball format and the shortest format of the game. And it's also very crucial series for both the teams because this is the year where the next World T20 is going to take place. In fact, we're going to have two World T20s in 2 years, one
Mhm.
later this year in India and the next one in Australia. And I don't think because of the tight schedules, the teams would have many matches to play with and finalize their ideal combinations going on into that World T20. So, from that regard, I think this series is very important for both the sides, and it's going to be a battle between two sides who are ranked number one and two in the T20 ICC rankings, with England at the top, followed by India. I got my friend RaviTeja over here with me, as I mentioned earlier. So, welcome, Ravi, and let's get right into um, the thick of things, as they say. So, what are you looking forward to the most as far as this T20 series is concerned, from both England and India's point of view? And how do you think these teams are shaping up for the series and also for that all important World T20 later on?
Oh yes, thanks a lot, Pawan Bhaiya, for the introduction, and I think you pretty much summed it up really well. What I'm genuinely looking forward is, after the IPL season last year, we discussed a lot about few of those prospects which need to be given the opportunities. So hence we finally could see that guys like Surya Kumar Yadav, Tewatia are in the limited overs jerseys, even Ishan Kishan to a great extent. So that's one aspect wherein I'm really keen because a good amount of debuts this tournament, this series, mainly because we're playing about 5 games, and if it kind of swings one way or the other, it's all probable that almost many young guns of India could get a chance to play. In addition, of course, Rohit Sharma is also back to limited overs cricket. We didn't necessarily see him perform or play in Australia, so it's going to be an interesting series. It's a huge square at Ahmedabad, so we have about 4 to 5 tracks right there laid out. So a good amount of shifting in terms of which track will be used and whatnot. There'll be a lot of probabilities on those lines as well. But having said that, it, it I think it's not necessarily a test of strengths anymore. Mainly because we're talking about 8 to 10 overs of spin as well, perhaps. And even in those 8 overs, we can expect England to do necessarily really well with Moeen and Adil with on their side. So I think this is going to be a very close fought series, at least close fought games. I'm not very sure. Of course, in T20s, it could swing either ways. And, even if it's a 4-1 or a final, it will never necessarily be a surprise. Not necessarily because the other team has performed badly, but also mainly because that's how the format is. So, mainly to talk about the probable 11 tomorrow, what I'm expecting is Bhuvneshwar to come back into the playing lineup. That would be very interesting to see. And I'm genuinely hoping that would happen because is very, I'll say, central to us, uh, with respect to our bowling lineup. And I'm hoping that faith is kind of restored in him and is given the chance that he deserves. Uh, I'm expecting Shikhar to not play because also mainly because Virat has pretty much mentioned today the fact that Rohit and KL would necessarily open. That would pretty much not leave Dhawan to be slotted into one down or two down or three down or anywhere for that matter. The other point of contention would also be if selecting Rishabh Pant would actually make sense. And to be very honest, I personally don't think he should be slotted in. Being a Rishabh Pant fan, of course, it's tough to say, kind of mention this, but I honestly feel Shreyas and Surya should be given a game with Hardik to come and finish, because our top three are magnificent and probably the best in the world, with Rohit, KL, and Virat opening the innings for us. Uh, of course, there's decent amount of batting. Uh, if someone like a Washington or a Bhuvi is played, or even a Shardul is played, so this batting lineup can bat deep. So unlike the KL Rahul's approach in the IPL, wherein he pretty much had to carry the entire team on himself or on his back, I don't think that necessarily would repeat here. I I'm pretty positive that it would all be hitting from the word go. Uh, and KL doesn't need to necessarily worry about what's the middle order and tail end does, because uh, probably till Shardul Thakur, everyone can bat if he's picked. Even Deepak Char can strike some blows, barring Chahal or maybe Saini if they're going to play. So that's the kind of combination that I'm looking at, with two spinners of Washington Sundar and Yuzvendra Chahal. And then Bhuvi, Shardul Thakur, and Navdeep Saini are my three picks. And Hardik Pandya to rope in with some maybe a over or two if things don't necessarily go as planned for uh, the slightly inexperienced Shardul Thakur probably. So that's the probable 11 for India that I'm seeing. For England, I think the bowling pretty much selects for itself. I think Moeen and Radil will definitely play, and would be nice to see, of course, Jofra Archer, Chris Jordan, and Sam Curran as well, with some amount of overs from bench strokes, like how Hardik probably will slot in. So amazing balance, So that's what I'm trying to mention here. I think this would be one of the best head-to-head series probably we'll be watching in a long time, with not necessarily much focus on the home conditions as it was kind of mentioned in the last four games or so. Jason Roy is back. Josh Butler is back. The world number one T20 batsman David Mullen, Johnny Bairstow, and the captain Morgan. So amazing playing 11. I think Virat mentioned a very right point today, wherein he kind of gave a very direct hint saying that India are no longer the favorites for the World T20 despite playing at home, and it's definitely going to be England. And I kind of agree with him 100%. I think England is the team to beat, and with a very decent bench strength with Livingstone, probably Tom Curran as well. So this is a team to beat, and I'm genuinely looking forward for the next five games uh, going to be held at Ahmedabad. So yeah, that's my views. I think I covered large part of it. And what's your views? What do you think playing 11 for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an engrossing series between two evenly matched teams, and England are definitely, as per me, as well as the team to beat in the T20 format, because they've got such a settled lineup, and this is probably going to be one of the few bilateral T20 series where we're going to see England at full strength. And you can just from the fact that they are playing their absolute best 11, or they have picked up their best squad keeping the World T20 in mind, and the rotation policy has been thrown out of the window as far as this format of the game is concerned, and this shows how keen they are to add the World T20 to their repertoire of titles, and I think they would become the first team to hold the 50 over World Cup and the T20 World Cup at the same time. uh, and 100% agree with you. They've got a very deep batting lineup, and one of the fortes of their batting lineup is they continue to attack no matter what the situation is, and they have players who can, set the ball rolling from ball one. Sometimes they can be 20 for three as well, and still you cannot sit on your heels as a fielding captain and as a fielding team, because they've got so much of firepower to come, and they're going to play in that same vein. And that stems from the fact as to how much confidence Ewan Morgan has instilled in this team and asked them to play absolute fearless cricket. So yeah, Jason Roy and Josh Butler opening, I think it was a good decision from them to get Josh Butler up there following his exploits in the IPL as well. David Malan, as we know, is irreplaceable currently in the T20 format for England. So it'll be a good test for him as well in these Indian conditions. And then the usual suspects, Johnny Bairstow and Morgan and Ben Stokes follow up with that uh, middle order, and then the lower middle order as well. Moeen Ali, Sam Curran, Chris Jordan, they can wield the long handle as well. And I always believe that you got to have a minimum of six bowling options in your lineup in the T20 format, because the game is such that one of your frontline bowlers is bound to have an off day. So you need that sixth bowling option, and if you have more than six, something like a CSK had in its heydays, then it's a luxury for the captain. Um, so they pretty much, select themselves. That is the first choice English 11. It'll be interesting to see if Jofra Archer pulls up and is fit for the games. Otherwise, I might see him being replaced by some other player like a Tom Curran or so. But yes, they will obviously go in with their two spinners in Moeen Ali and Adil Rashid, and then hope for Archer to be fit and be that X factor along with Chris Jordan, who is a terrific bowler at the death as well. Sam Curran again is a very good utility cricketer with both bat and ball, and he provides them that uh, multiple skill set as well. So I think they were pretty much settled lineup. I think they will just need to, identify some key backups for these players as far as the World T20 is concerned. Uh, so that if anybody is injured from their first choice 11, then what is going to be their replacement come the World T20 as well, because we expect the squads to not be 15 members but at least 20 members in this times that we're living in. Yeah, so the likes of Liam Livingstone, Sam Billings, uh, and in the bowling, Mark Wood or Reece Topley, they might also be given some chances later on in the series as well. And coming to the Indian squad, yeah, this is a good opportunity for them to set their combination right ahead of that World T20. And historically, we have not played the T20 format as it should be played, although the results might show in our favor. We have been a bit conservative. I have not been able to identify the key power hitters that we need in the middle order, especially. The top three of Dhawan, Rohit, and Virat were pretty much playing in both ODIs and T20s, and we were carrying on that habit of starting sedately from the ODI format into the T20 format and then take it from there. It proved to be beneficial when we are chasing scores, because I think we are probably the best chasing team going around in white ball format, and we were having a lot of difficulties when teams were putting us in and asking us to set a target. So not having those power hitters, apart from somebody say like a Hardik Pandya in the playing 11 or Jadeja, we were struggling to understand what could be a good score that our bowlers can defend. So I think adding in these new players has definitely given us a new dimension, and this series should be a ground for us to test them. And as far as our best playing 11 in this series is concerned, Virat has already confirmed that Rahul and Rohit will open. And I pretty much agree with that as well, because Rohit is a no-brainer. He has to play. So the choice was between Shikhar and Rahul, and kind of form that Rahul has shown off late in the last 1 year or so in the shortest format warrants that he opens the batting with Rohit. And even if Rohit takes time, Rahul can tee off right from the outset as well. Having said that, Shikhar Dhawan definitely should be in the World T20 plans as a backup opener, because he offers that left-hand option at the top of the innings as well. And Virat is going to be slotted at number three, and the middle order is going to be the one thing that, as I mentioned, India will look to improve upon. I think the number four slot will be fought out between the two Mumbai lads as of now, Shreyas and Surya Kumar. I don't see both of them playing at the same time. I personally would like to see Surya Kumar Yadav being given the chance. Shreyas Iyer was not in good form when he played against Australia in the T20s, and same was in the one days as well. So maybe alternate between them and give chances and see who performs well. But I would definitely like to start with Surya Kumar Yadav at number four. Uh, and he deserves that chance as well. And when it comes to number 5 and 6, of course, one of them is going to be Hardik Pandya, and I think he's going to be the floater in that batting order. Depending on the kind of situation that we are in, he can be promoted in the batting order. If the likes of Virat, Rohit, and Rahul give you a tremendous start and bat till the 13th or the 14th over, then it makes no sense to send anybody else other than Pandya in that kind of a situation. So he'll be that freelancer in that batting order, depending on the kind of situation. And at number 5, I see a shootout between Rishabh Pant and Ishan Kishan at the moment. And considering the kind of current form that Rishabh Pant is showing, I think he might get the first nod. And it also makes sense that either of them play, they should be the one who will be wicket keeping. There's no point, asking KL Rahul to don the gloves when either of them is playing. Uh, and maybe if there is a situation where both of them are not available, or where both of them are woefully out of form and India needs to play somebody else, then KL Rahul can be given that additional wicket keeping responsibility. So these are pretty much the top six. And when it comes to the bowling, I see Washington and UZ playing the main role as the lead spinners, and then Bhuneshwar also coming back and taking the mantle of the pace spearhead. If Natarajan was fit, I think both Bhuvi and Natarajan would have been the straight two picks for the first two seamers. But I believe Natarajan is still recuperating from a niggle over there in the NCA and might get to play a part later on in the series. So it'll be nice to see this Sunrisers combination opening the bowling for India as well. And Natarajan gives the left arm angle as well. But in his space, I think they might go in with Shardul Thakur for the moment. He offers good amount of skill with the bat and bowls a heavy ball as well. So I think both Bhuvi and Shardul would be playing. And that leaves us with the one slot. I personally think that they would go in with Akshar Patel as the third spinner. Again, he's a multi-utility player, offers something with the bat and ball, and he had also had a good IPL. Uh, I have my doubts if we will go for a third frontline seamer. I think Hardik Pandya would be that third seamer in my lineup, uh, and he'll be my sixth bowling option as well in that lineup. So I see Puri, Shardul, and Hardik being the pace bowlers over there, and the spinners. I think we'll see Washington, Akshar, and Yuzvendra Chahal being the three frontline spinners as well in the lineup. It's a pity that somebody like Varun Chakravarti or Rahul Tewatia have missed out on passing the fitness tests. I think the current regime of Kohli and Shastri have made this absolutely non-negotiable. You might have the best batting or the bowling skills, but if you are not fit enough, as per the parameter set, you're not going to be selected for India. And I think they will need to pull up their socks, and this will send out a clear message to everybody playing domestic cricket out there as well. That if you want to represent India, there is certain bar of fitness that you need to achieve. And I believe now the new test, they have come up with new timings for the yo-yo test, and also there is this 2 kilometer run that you have to complete within a stipulated time. But having said that, if they had passed the fitness test, it would have been a good opportunity to see what Tewatia and Varun Chakravarti would have to offer, because Tewatia is just equivalent to Akshar Patel, offers something with both bat and ball. Uh, and Varun Chakravarti has had a good season with Kolkata Knight Riders, and is a bowler who is not very easy to pick. So all in all, I think India will look to plug the gaps and develop a backup for every kind of uh, situation. Because if you see the absolutely full strength Indian team, they have still got the likes of Ravindra Jadeja, Jasprit Bumrah, and Mohammad Shami missing, and they will definitely be part of the World T20. So identifying the backups to these kind of players and knowing your main core or the pool of 20 players that you will take to that World T20 uh, might definitely be something that they look forward to. And as Virat said, there might still be somebody who springs a surprise in the IPL as well. The likes of Devdutt Padikkal, who's had a stellar Vijay Hazare Trophy as well, and Prithvi Shaw as well, who just seems to be scoring big hundreds for fun for Mumbai in the Vijay Hazare Trophy. So they can have a breakthrough IPL season again and stake a claim to be part of that World T20 squad, although they might not find a place in the playing 11. So I think they are just trying to shape up and get their best squad possible. That was the thing that we were lacking in, not identifying the X factor players and not giving them chances. We pretty much followed the one day template into the T20 format as well. So hopefully this should give them a new lease of life as far as the shortest format of the game is concerned.
Oh, yes. So just a couple of pointers on the fitness parameters part. So a lot of, I'll say, outrages on Twitter wherein people are kind of questioning if those same fitness parameters apply to the very same seniors part of the group, mainly hinting at someone like Rohit Sharma or Yuzvendra Chahal or maybe even an Ashwin. So are these fitness parameters pretty much applicable only to the new guys who are yet to receive a cap? Is one typical Indian argument that we see on Twitter. For some reason, I see that argument has at least some weight. I won't say uh, that the guys that we just mentioned or talked about are not fit, but wouldn't there be probably a line there wherein you need to give the form or the skill or the ability or even the prowess a higher step, and or probably okay to compromise on the fitness part, just like how Mumbai Indians pretty much does perhaps. So that's an argument probably for a different debate, and yeah, fair point. But I think we discussed in detail. And what I actually wanted to talk about was the split tweet by Gaurav Sundar Raman, wherein he kind of segregated the roles, and he spoke about. I mean, he kind of listed who all players would fit in where, and uh, just can't believe the kind of bench strength that we have. With openers being Rohit, KL, Shikhar, middle order spin hitters being Virat, Sky, Shreyas, Ishan Kishan, Sanju Samson, hitters Hardik Pandya, Pant, right arm spin all rounder Sundar, Ashwin, orthodox Jadeja, Akshar, Krunal Pandya, someone like Varun Chakravarti, Yuzvendra Chahal, Kuldeep, Rahul Chahar. Rahul Chahar has been given some amount of priority, and they were mentioning how this guy would also be a great fit. Bhuvi's form is yet to be seen, but I'm genuinely looking forward to his form as well. Someone like a Deepak Chahar in the run, Shardul, Bumrah, Natarajan, Shami, Saini. Okay, I know that I'm just kind of reading out, but it just amazes me that the kind of bench strength that we have created are for ourselves. But having said that, I think World T20 selection, like you rightly mentioned, would largely also depend on the way the IPL 2021 would go. Also because the venues are probably also uh, multiple, mainly also hinting at the fact that okay, for this World T20, I mean, we need to be accustomed to the latest conditions. In the shortest span of time, perhaps. So I think not many changes. I think this would largely remain the core. Uh, Not many changes to the bench as well. I honestly don't see a Prithvi Shaw stepping into this very framework, uh, or even someone like a deep, Devdutt Padikkal immediately, until unless they pretty much get the orange cap or probably end up in the top 3 or 5. Even then, it looks very unlikely, or probably in a situation someone like a Shikhar or uh, maybe someone like a Sky or Shreyas are going through a horrible slump. So while the bench strength is pretty much there, we know how they've been performing in the domestic cricket. But I think significant amount of reliance would largely be on the IPL T20 form, mainly considering the time aspect as well. That's on this bench strength that I want to talk about. Also, let's also kind of look at the ODI series at Pune. Uh, I don't know, but for some reason, I feel it's not very relevant. But of course, it's important for us to kind of do well and score big and do well. Pune is supposedly known to be high scoring ground, and we remember that Kedar Jadhav innings along with Kohli, which was an amazing innings against the very same England. So, but having said that, also it's important for us to look at the World Test Championship final schedule and also the huge IPL, right before it. And I was just wondering if it would be a very good idea to rest someone like a Rohit,
or maybe even a Virat. But I don't think Virat would be resting, and probably he'll be definitely going, especially considering his recent slump. But having said that, I'm kind of for not wanting to see Rohit or Virat and being rested so that they have a smooth IPL and then can accord, directly be in the fresh of the form perhaps at a later stage. And also, I think you may see if it's a 3-0 initially or a 3-0 the other way initially in the in the world in the T20 series as well, we may see some amount of changes to the senior lineup currently part. So, what do you think about the ODI series, and uh, are you for this very same rotation policy that we were quite criticizing about? But this rotation policy has largely to do with the workload management, mainly uh, considering the heavy 8 to 9 months that the team has had. So, what's your views on
Yeah, I think that this ODI series is just to satisfy the thirst of the broadcasters. It's pretty much meaningless at this point of time because the ODI World Cup is still 2 years away. It's scheduled to be held around February, March in 2023 in India. It's just about, wanting to make sure that the broadcaster gets the views and, earns the mega bucks. The BCCI earns most of its money from the TV rights. Otherwise, I don't see any reason why this one-day series is being played now. And I totally agree with you that we can look at offering rest to our senior players because they've got a huge couple of months coming ahead with the IPL and then the World Test Championship as well, and then the England Test Series. And the England Test Series runs until middle of September, I think, and then they would just have 1 month to the World T20. I'm pretty much sure that the BCCI in that 1 month also will try to fit in some T20 matches on a bilateral basis with any other team to, just get the team to practice. So I think this is a good opportunity to rest some of the frontline players in the one-day format, and we still have not resolved our middle order worries in the one-day format as well. Although Shreyas Iyer has been really good, Hardik Pandya has come back stronger in Australia and very maturely in the one-day format as well. Ravindra Jadeja has excelled as a batsman as well. So I think they can look to give some other people, chances. Somebody like a Sky can, why cannot he audition for a middle order role in the one day format as well? And Rohit has been playing steadily from the Aussie tour. Somebody like him can be, tested. I think Shekhar and Rahul will obviously be playing the one day format. There is one format that Shekhar is certainty, it's the one day format, and I think that's the favorite format for him as well. And likewise, we can look to explore our bowling options as well, because our bowling was found wanting in Australia in that three-match ODI series where we offered close to 350 runs in both the games. Um, yeah, so I feel that we can rest our frontline players and give the fringe players an opportunity. Uh, and probably at the start of next year is when India will ideally look to build towards that World Cup in 2023. Uh, and what also derails the plan is that there is just such a short gap between both the World T20. You're going to play the World T20 again next year in Australia, and then within 3-4 months you play the One Day World Cup in 23. So there's a plethora of ICC events coming up, so they will need to make sure that they put their priorities where they want them to be, uh, and then take it from there. Uh, Although I don't see a great impact as far as the one-day series is concerned. It'll be interesting to see what kind of squad England also dishes up there. Uh, they might just want their players to have a feel of the condition in India because the one day World Cup also is going to be held in India later on. So not much to get out of the one day series, just for fact that they can have a look at the French players from both the perspectives. As far as my opinion is concerned.
Oh yes, so in addition to this, I think what would be again interesting is the recent news of how India may actually field a second string team for the Asia Cup that's going to be taking place. Uh, of course, I think on this note, I think we can pretty much end. Uh, uh, it would be amazing for a B-strength team to actually go there and beat the likes of Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka and win the Asia Cup. And I think that would pretty much settle the debate with respect to who is the actual supercontinent, superpower, and I'm sorry, subcontinent superpower and whatnot. So, any thoughts on that? I think we have the luxury of time as well. I was just wondering
Um, yeah,
who
I was reading
else.
some.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was reading some news that they have rescheduled the PSL for the month of June now. So I think if that goes ahead, it pretty much might take out Asia Cup out of the equation. I was reading a couple of reports today morning. So they wouldn't obviously reschedule the PSL in April or May because the IPL would be going on at the same point of time. Uh, so June is the only window they are looking at to complete the PSL. But if that does not go ahead, then I think the Asia Cup will go ahead, and our second string team also will be very hard to defeat in subcontinental conditions, as per my knowledge. The only thing that might prevent them from doing so might be the lack of experience playing in pressure situations. But having said that, if that does happen, then it again presents a good opportunity for the Finnish players to stake their credentials ahead of the World T20. Uh, as we have seen his Asia Cup historically being played in the format where the next World Cup is going to be held. So it's closer to the One Day World Cup they played in a 50-over format, and
so
it's closer to
2020.
the World T20. They will play T20. So this time it's going to be in T20 format. So uh, let's see how it pans out. If the PSL happens, then I think we would not see the Asia Cup happening.
Oh yes, fair point. I think on this note, perhaps we can close for today. Thanks a lot for your time today, Pavandeep. I think we'll probably do another episode recapping the various cricketing games happening, and also looking forward for the India South Africa women's ODI tomorrow. That's about it from us today, guys. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much. And just to let people know that we will come back and give you a review of the England versus India T20 series once the entire series is completed, because all the five matches are being played within a space of 10 days or so.
That's right.
And also, in the next episode, we'll be giving you a heads up about the other cricketing action that's been going around in the world, the West Indies versus Sri Lanka series, Afghanistan versus Zimbabwe test series is going on in the UAE, and Australia and New Zealand also played out a five-match T20 series, which was pretty interesting uh, this month. So lots of cricketing action to look forward to. And as Ravi mentioned, we have the women's series as well, which we are watching very cleanly, and we will do a review of the uh, series as well. India has come back strongly after that first game, in which they were a bit rusty, but I expect them to do well in the coming games on a consistent basis as well. So stay tuned in and keep listening to our podcast and spread the word around. And please like, subscribe, and click on the notification icon.
Sure.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Cheers. Bye bye.